Our next speaker is Alix Keel. Alix knows firsthand that the act of having a good time promotes connection and creativity. Inspired by her own travel experiences, she shares a unique perspective about the importance of enjoyment in education. A licensed professional counselor associate and Oregon licensed school psychologist, Alix helps students embrace and capitalize on their unique and individual strengths to be successful while having fun.
And I have to say, everything that she said, I'm like, oh, yes. And then I was like, wait, I have to talk. So I was captivated, and I don't feel worthy even walking up here following her. But I will also speak to what I have on my paper. And I will say, nobody needs to hear me speak what I'm saying tonight more than I do. So when I wrote it, it made sense, and then things happen in my life that now I'm like, oh, I really need to believe what I'm about to say to you guys. And I was getting ready for this TED Talk, and I was talking to my mom and my dad, and my dad said, Alix, what is the nature of the TED Talk that you're doing? And I said, I looked at him, straight face, and I said, it's about how parents mess up their children. You'll be glad to know it's not about that. And he was too. So it's something totally different. I am a school psychologist, and I'm going to have an interesting time reading this but with the lighting, but I'm just going to disclose that right away. So I'm a school psychologist, and most of the time when we hear about somebody hearing voices, it is a cause for concern. It's something that needs to be investigated. But last fall, I went to Italy, and Italy talked to me. It whispered a specific word so loudly that I had to listen. And that word was enjoy. I spent a week in Italy, and it was a last-minute trip. A friend of mine told me her mom couldn't go with her, and she was like, I'm still going to go on the trip. And I had this idea, like, maybe I should try to go. And so I looked into my schedule and my work, and I switched some things around, and it was like everything fell into place. So I was like, I definitely have to go. So I bought a plane ticket. And when we got there, we did all the touristy things. We we ate delicious food, of course, and we went to museums, and we met fascinating people. We also used trains as our way of moving, from city to city. And one day, I was on a train, and my travel partner sent me a text message. We had gotten on different, little cars because it was crowded. And she sent me a message, and she said, get off at the next stop. And so I was like, okay. So I got off on the next stop, and we had backpacks, all hip, and I was standing there, and I got off, and I was the only person standing on that track. And I was like, something went wrong. And so I sat there, and I did enjoy, there was this beautiful ocean in the distance, and the sun was coming down on me. And she called quick and said, I told you the wrong stop, go, okay. She's not here. She really didn't want to come because she would be the one laughing the loudest right now. But anyway, so I was like, okay, I'll just take the next train. And so I kind of waited, and trains came, but this is one track, and the trains just kept coming from the opposite direction. And I was thinking, I really have no idea how long I'm going to be standing here waiting for this train. So I got out my handy phone, and I saw that I really only had to go about 1.5 miles to get to where I needed to be. And I thought, I got this. I'm just going to walk. And so I began my journey. I put one foot in front of the other, alone. And as I started walking, I looked down, and there was cobblestones that were pieced together by mortar, and each one was crooked and perfect. And I just marveled, we have none of these in Bend. I kept walking, and I came to the middle of the town, and there was people bustling around. I felt so alive. I walked a little more, and I saw these alleys where people were selling beautiful yellow things. Lots of them had to do with lemons. And then I kept walking, and I came upon something I had never been in, a lemon grove. And I stood there, and I inhaled the lemon grove. Eventually, I don't want to miss this part, so I'm looking at my notes. When I reached the water, I felt energized. I had appreciation, and I was filled with what could only be described as gratitude. The detour, which started out as a misstep, became one of my favorite experiences. It gifted me with unanticipated appreciation for beauty and history and the scent of lemon trees and a new confidence, and that's what I need at this moment, that I could enjoy the detours. What if in our lives, when we get off at the wrong track, like I did, we actually get a chance, an opportunity to enjoy maybe the things that we try to limit, the detours, the failures, the mistakes, can actually give us enjoyment. In Italy, it seemed as if the food and the art and the sounds, smells, also the missteps, they were actually there to be savored. So now you're wondering, what does this have to do with kids and anything that we're talking about tonight? I'm kind of wondering that myself, but I will get to that now. When I returned from Italy, I felt different. I approached work without a specific outcome. I tried to replace productivity with some curiosity, and I became more uncertain about which one actually was the right or the wrong track. Or the stop, actually, or the track, both things. It was as if life was inviting me to smell it, to taste it, to feel it, only because it could be enjoyable. Could this expectation of delight be a daily gift to give to ourselves and also to give to our children? It had, just within the wondering, a beautiful, abundant enoughness. I'm going to put up a slide, my first one. It's pretty simple. Oh, and it looks beautiful. Thank you, whoever changed it. The definition of enjoy. It didn't look good earlier. To experience great pleasure or delight, to take pleasure in. It seems simple, but for many of us as professionals, it's been stigmatized. We're trained to do a lot of valuable things, to work hard, to hustle, to produce, evaluate. In my job, we gotta, give the information. But we are not trained or encouraged to experience great pleasure or delight. As parents and educators, we want to do the right thing. We all do. We read the books, we want to follow the manual, and at the end of the day, we wonder if we got it right. But our measuring stick for outcomes, productivity, its performance, all the things, it would be a significant shift to measure getting it right by our level of enjoyment. What if we're here not to produce, consume, evaluate? Is there a chance that we've simply been gifted with a string of beautiful daily moments? Could it be that pleasure and enjoyment, I need to back up. I want to point to it again. Could it be that let's see, pleasure and enjoyment. I want to say this correctly, so I'm going to look at my notes. Could it be that pleasure and enjoyment sit patiently, like the scent of a lemon grove? I didn't want to miss that. Waiting to be inhaled, ready to waft our way. Okay, and Amy already had it. You guys all breathe, but I do want you to spend a moment in audience participation before I go on. So close your eyes and just imagine lemon trees, gorgeous, green, yellow, and just imagine inhaling that scent and then breathing out. We get to do that together today. In my work with children, so now I'm going to finish. I work with children. I get to work with exceptional children, and they can enjoy. They are authentic, and they unapologetically experience pleasure. I had one particular student in my office recently. We'll call her Eva. She talks and thinks and feels with passion. In our time together, she cried very loudly, tears running down her face, when she told me her favorite grandmother was getting ready to pass away. And she wailed, saying she wasn't ready to say goodbye. She whispered softly, and she told me mermaid secrets, and I promised never to repeat them, so you can't get them out of me. We laughed together. She tried to quiz me, ask me questions, and make the testing for me instead of the other way around. Eva is 7 years old. She has autism. She hates math, and she desperately wants friends. Now, I am old, so old we don't talk about it. I am formally educated, so I had to learn math, and I make friends pretty easily. They do have to put up with my corny jokes, just like you guys do tonight. My apologies. If not for our job, mine and Eva's paths never would have crossed. But in those shared moments, with tears and laughter, whispers, challenges, we undoubtedly enjoyed one another. You don't have to travel to Sorrento, although I do highly recommend it, to be in Italy. We can be in joy in any moment, especially with children, in spite of what we all know has been a never-ending list of challenges, barriers, and yes, our own missteps. All of us can join children and experience shared pleasure and delight. They are filled with awe and wonder, innocence and hope, laughter, and also tears. They know jokes that are probably actually funny, and an infinite number of other things that I still want to learn. Perhaps it's enough to have daily and beautiful moments to simply enjoy one another. Let's give ourselves permission and opportunity to do just that. Let's allow ourselves to inhale slowly, to taste delicious food, appreciate beautiful art, to cry when we feel sad, and also to laugh together. I'm not sure what hearing voices says about my mental health, but Italy undoubtedly talked to me. It spoke loudly and in a whisper, and with laughter. It told me that I get to enjoy, and I think you should too. Thank you.